Okay everybody, how you doing? Now I will just apologise now because I don't know what gameplays I'm going to throw up to support this commentary, because I think it could go on for a little bit of a while. So whatever I put up, it's going to be hopefully be good enough to entertain you, for those of you guys who like watching the gameplays, and hopefully I can keep your attention till the end, because some of you may have noticed the title of this and thought, oh, you know, I'm a little bit curious to understand what he's talking about, and some of you might not care, but maybe some people who I don't really like to talk about it, because obviously in the title it's bullying, and some people don't really like to touch on this because it's a sensitive subject, and then some people might, I don't know, may be interested to get to know me a little bit better, because it's something that I don't talk about personally very much. In saying that, I actually did a video based on this subject about 2 years ago maybe. It was when I started my channel, and it was a video that got very well received. In fact, I would say it was probably one of my quickest viewed videos ever. I think I was probably, well, I was a very small channel, and I uploaded this video and I kind of went outside for a smoke, and when I came back within about 10 minutes I had 70 something views, and I thought, wow, it's amazing how much of a nerve this subject can hit. But again, I know that people don't really talk about it too much. So anyway, rambling on, I'm going to cut it down there. So whatever the gameplays are, enjoy. It's going to be like a selection of Cadbury's misshapes. Hopefully there'll be something in there for everybody. Now, I received a very personal message from somebody who was, it kind of touched my heart, and it was a guy who basically said something along the lines of, you know, that he watched my channel and it gave him a lot of hope and a lot of spirit, because every day on a daily basis he's scared to go to school because he gets bullied. And I'm not sure whether it was English or American, but he said high school. That's American, isn't it? Yeah. He said he's scared to go to high school because he gets bullied on a daily basis, and the people make his lives hell. Make his life hell, and it just affects him a lot. And he said that watching my videos and hearing me talk about certain things kind of lifts his spirits up. Now that is amazing for me. Trust me, I'm not blowing smoke up my own buttocks when I say things like that, because I don't want to make out that I'm some sort of saviour for people. Trust me, I really am not. I'm going to hit the nail on the head with that right now. But I always try to enunciate exactly how much I'm really appreciative for everybody's support, because on the darker days, things like that push me and make me think, you know what, I am going to do an upload. I am going to talk about something that's related to this. And this was a particular subject that is close to my heart, because me personally, I was bullied at school. I was bullied very, very badly. To give you a kind of backlog of what happened with me, and hopefully from this, you know, people who went through the same things can kind of get some solace maybe. So I don't know, it may come of some good, or maybe just people might dismiss it. But me personally, I was bullied very badly at school, and the reason for that was because when I was younger, the schools that I went to that was local to my area, I got on well. You know, I had a close-knit selection of friends. Everything was good, everything was dandy, we got on really well. I was seen as the class clown, so that was good, but I was also doing well in my grades. A kind of effective thing that happened to me, which my parents only really found out about when I think I hit 30, was that I was bullied sharply, and the reason for that was because we did so much moving about. Now, I've said before, I've got gypsy blood. We've got gypsy blood in our family, and for some reason my family cannot, you know that expression, wherever I lay my hat, that's my home. Well, my mother and father, wherever they laid the hat, it was their home for a bit. And then they moved on to the next home and laid another hat there. So yeah, that was quite effective for me, because obviously you're going through school, you're going through changes in your body and your personality, and your friends are very important to you when you're growing up. And if you're moving away from your friends and being thrown in other schools and various environments, it's hard to adapt to that. Now, as a direct result, I went from one school which was in Birmingham called Bourneville. Now, in Bourneville School, it was brilliant. It was just so many good people there. It was a mixed school. I had so many friends. I started to experience, you know, because I was 12, 13 years old, I was experiencing new things with my body. I.e., I was getting an erection when I'd look at a chair leg. So, you know, there was girls there, and I was finding out new things about myself, like how I get wood on the school bus, which was fantastic. But yeah, my mother and father weren't getting along so well, and my mother got kind of homesick from the place where we previously lived, and they had a bit of a tussle with each other, and not in a physical sense, but in a verbal sense. My mother kind of laid down the ultimatum and said, look, I want to go back home where we used to live. You can either live here or we can go back and carry on our marriage. And my father, bless his cotton socks and rest his soul, turned around and made the ultimate sacrifice and left a job he loved and moved back to Birmingham, back to Yardley Wood, where I used to live. Now, that was devastating for me, because I essentially got pulled out of the school that I loved, and I got put into a school kind of like, you know, halfway through the first year, halfway through the second year. I can't quite remember, it's so long ago. And that was devastating, because obviously units had been formed and friends had been made, and all of a sudden this 6'2", scraggy, scrawny young poor kid walked into the school, and I was a direct target. Even though I was bigger than all the kids, I was a direct target because it's a sort of defense mechanism. And yeah, it made my life hell, and I would go through the usual routines of being followed to school every day and having my bag snatched and thrown over gardens and just being followed, basically followed and verbally abused. There was never anything really physical to it. Nobody ever really stepped up to the plate and thrown any physicality my way, but it was all mental torture. Now, going back to this guy's message, I can really relate to this, and, you know, not from a Woody's Gamertag sense where it's like, hey girls, you want to learn how to give a guy a blowjob, then simply take hold of his phallic member, put it in your mouth, but don't use your teeth, just, no, you're talking like that, you know, that kind of thing. No, I can relate to it because I had it firsthand. I got into the state where I wouldn't go to school. You know, I would find the nearest park, I'd leave my family, I'd wave at the door, and then I would make a beeline for the local park or the local canals, which there's a lot of canals in Birmingham, and I would hang around there. And I got in with some bad people, which kind of started my, you know, I'll let you into another aspect of my life. I was heavy into drugs when I was younger. I've kind of grown out of it now because I'm with family and stuff, but when I was younger I was into drugs quite harshly, and the reason for that was because of this whole lifestyle of hanging around canals with alcoholics and drug abusers, and I got into that kind of thing. But it was an escape for me. It was a place to go where I wouldn't be faced with the adversities of childhood and youths and just, I don't know, kids just being kids. That's just how it is. Now, as a direct result of that, obviously my grades began to suffer because I started off school as quite a bright, intelligent, well, reasonably intelligent young kid, and all of a sudden my confidence levels dropped. I wasn't concentrating on my schoolwork, and when I was in school, my class humour or my class clown persona suddenly turned into something quite nasty, and I started taking it out on teachers, and I would throw my school books across the class just to basically entertain the people who I thought were my friends and hopefully make the bullies think, whoa, this guy's totally out there, he's mad, he's insane. And it was just all a defense mechanism, it was. And it's really hard when you hear somebody else going through exactly the same thing. Now, I was playing on Xbox Live. I think I was playing some Call of Duty about 2 weeks ago, and there was one of my subs on there. And this is going to another very similar thing. This guy was asking me questions. He was a young lad, and he was asking me questions, but he was asking me in kind of a, I don't know, I suppose a second person point of view. And he was saying, oh, a friend of mine, a typical friend of mine, yeah, a guy I know, he has this when he walks to school and the kids pick on him and pick on his clothes. What would you say to him? What would your advice be to him? And it was really hard because you don't know what kind of advice you can give people on that, because realistically, from an adult's point of view, your first reaction is, well, I would turn around and I would punch him in the twat, and then he would never do it again. But when you're talking to somebody who's quite impressionable and youthful, you've got to be really careful what you say. So my words to him were along the lines of, look, you know, just laugh at them, just smile and laugh along with it, and if they take the piss out of your clothes, then laugh and say, yeah, I'm a fucking tramp, who cares? You know, I stole these clothes from a guy I found sleeping down the road. I don't give a shit. Because that was one of the things with me, because we never had any money and we were very, 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 very much living on the breadline. My school clothes were just kind of made up. You know, everybody had their own uniform. My clothes were taken from thrift shops and from like second-hand shops and charity shops. And my mother would find like the closest black jumper and put it on me, and it would have instead of having a picture of a wheel, which was the school that I went to, it was called Wheeler's Lane. It would have a picture of a hawk or a picture of a dog with a bone in its mouth. So, you know, when you're trying to, I don't know, get through the adversities of bullying, and then it's like, I literally haven't got a leg to stand on because I'm just wearing the evidence that these guys are going to shoot me for. It's hard. So to the guy who sent me the message, and to the guy I was talking to on Xbox Live, maybe I can explain it a little bit better now. My way of dealing with it would be to say, just honestly, just smile about it and carry on. If it really is that bad, and if it really is torturing you to the point where you feel like you're suicidal, because some people do, you know, social networking and things like that have driven people to suicide, then there are people you can talk to, there are places you can go, there are phone numbers you can call. You know, when I was young, we didn't have internet, we had Childline, and that was it. That for me is the most important thing. You have to talk to somebody about it. There's no shame in anybody antagonizing you, because somewhere down the line, somebody you meet or somebody you will speak to will perfectly understand, because maybe they've been through the same thing. It doesn't sort of reflect on your character. You see, for me personally, I should have spoke to my sisters. I've got two older sisters, they're both 10 years older than me, And, you know, I confided in them. They were like my best friends in life. I used to turn to them whenever I had a problem. But I never told them about this because I didn't want them to look at me in a different way. That is the worst thing I could have done. I should have nipped it in the bud and I should have told them about it. I could never have told my parents because I don't think my parents would ever have understood, and they had their own issues going on in life. But that's the fact. You have to find somebody who you can relate to and who you can trust and who you can get the full support from and tell them about it. The reason I'm doing this commentary is not to say, hey kids, this is what you should do, because I will never give the right amount of advice, but I can kind of push people in the right direction, and hopefully, if not that, then just give people an idea. Look, you're not on your own. I've been there. I've turned out okay. A little bit fucked up, maybe. The worst thing about being bullied, admittedly, is that it knocks your confidence. That's the one thing it did to me. It screwed my confidence down terrible. And even to this day and age now, it does still. You know, I find myself in situations when I'm with people that I know or people that I've just met. I'm okay. But if those crowds become too much, I clam up, you know, I close up a little bit. I go within myself and I do exactly what I did at school. I go in my own little bubble and my own little world, and it's nice and safe and warm and cozy there. That's the kind of effect it can have on you, and that's if you follow the right direction, if you speak to the right people and nip it in the bud early, you can prevent all that thing when you get on in later life. The worst thing you can do is do exactly what I did. Not go to school, meet the wrong people, confide in some fucking hobo living under a canal bridge, drinking cider and smoking weed. You know, I know there's going to be people out there going, hey, that sounds awesome. It really isn't. It's not funny when you're 15 years old, putting yourself in that situation, and I'm sure my parents would have been mortified if they'd have known that. If you're hands-on in the situation as it's happening, the best thing I can say to you is just to smile about it, laugh about it, make fun of the situation. Don't show the bullies that they're getting to you. That is the worst thing you can do. But one really important thing to remember, and this is the most important thing, and it may not seem like it now, but it is a definite fact, and it feels like, and it does, it feels like that your whole world has tumbled down on you because your friends wouldn't support you, and maybe one of your friends is getting involved. Take some comfort in this. Later on in life, you will look back and go, what the fuck was I worried about? It really doesn't matter. It's nothing to worry about. Years to come, you will wonder why it grieved you so much. If your confidence is taking a battering, then there are things you can do. You can take up sports. What I did, I took up martial arts. I took up boxing because I almost wanted to prove to myself that I was capable. Being 6'2", 6'3" now, I found it hard, and I couldn't understand how being so big I was getting pushed around so much. I couldn't understand why people wouldn't give me the respect that I thought I deserved as a, I don't know, I suppose a dominant figure in in their eyes. I just couldn't get my head around it, so I took up martial arts and I took up sports and I took up boxing, and that for me was a release, and you meet good people and you learn how to channel your aggression. That's the best advice I could give. I don't know if that's going to help anybody or not, but trust me, as you get older, you really do laugh it off. Let's revert back to a message I received on YouTube about 3 videos ago. There was some guy, and I'd been a sub for a while, and I don't know who he was, and I don't know what his beef was, but he left me a message, and it was along the lines of, hey Apocalypse you, and I'm going to abbreviate, see you next Tuesday. What are you doing coming over sending messages to my channel and sending haters over just because you think you're some big bodybuilder and sending all your gay bodybuilder mates over coming giving me hate? If you think you're man enough, step up. Phone me now and we'll sort this out. Step up to the plate. Now, there's a couple of things wrong with that. Number 1, I don't know who this guy is. Number 2, I haven't got his phone number. Number 3, I'm not a fucking bodybuilder. My bodybuilding days are gone. And lastly, why would the antelope pick a fight with a lion? You see, ultimately my response to him was, thanks for the view. And that was pretty much it. Because what you got to remember is most bullies, as big as they might seem or as hard as they might make out they are, they're troubled. That's the reason why they bully 9 times out of 10. They might have some situation going on at home that means that they can't deal with their problems back there. They have to bring it to the school place or to wherever. So you've essentially got to almost sympathise with them and think that these people have probably got some deep down problems. Everybody's got a story. The way you handle it is the thing that marks you as a true person. I'll see you later, guys. Apocalypse done.